What's up guys, how's it going on? Thank you so much for clicking the video. I'm Ayrus and welcome back to another Clash Royale video, and today we're going to talk about the Magic Archer event, the tournament that has actually come out today, and it's really awesome, this new event. Of course, it's the draft challenge, so you will be in a position to pick up 4 cards, and your opponent is going to again give you 4 cards, so you'll have a total of 8 cards. So it's completely unexpected what are the cards you're actually going to get. So it's completely, most of the times it is actually going to be luck, the kind of cards Supercell has to offer you, and also the kind of cards the opponent will be giving you, and also sometimes it's about the choices that you make that really matter a lot. So a lot of times you might come across a really tough situation where you have some really good troops, and that is where you actually need to understand, that the right card should actually give you the victory itself. So if you're actually taking one card that is good in one thing, then you definitely need to have the counter for it as well. So we'll just get into the details, but before that, make sure to subscribe to the channel for Clash of Clans or Clash Royale content every single day. Make sure you do like the video if you enjoy this video, and also subscribe and click on the bell notification icon so you don't miss anything. So there are some cards that really work very well in the draft challenge. Now, of course, most of the cases it's luck, but apart from luck, there's also chances that you need to take in the right card. So if you're not taking in the right card, then definitely even luck will support you. So there are some cards which I actually will be reading out. So there are the Princess, the Balloon, the Skeleton Army, the Goblin Gang, the Inferno Tower, the Sparky, the Elite Barbarians, the Inferno Dragon, skeleton, what is that? Skeleton, not the skeleton party, the surprise party, whatever that is, and the graveyard, yeah, the graveyard, and the goblin barrels. So also these are also some really good cards. So when it comes to selecting the right card, there are some cards that you cannot leave at any cost. These are the cards which possibly the opponent does not has a counter to. So these cards, if you actually have them and the opponent does not has a counter, then you're definitely going to make the best out of it. So the cards are Balloon, Princess, Goblin Gang, Skeleton Army, Elite Barbarian, Sparky, Inferno Tower, Inferno Dragon, the Graveyard, and lastly the the Goblin Barrel as well. So if you can actually select any of these cards, and the opponent, in case he does not has any card to counter against these, then definitely it's going to be a big advantage for you. Maybe in some cases you can actually take that tower down itself. So these are the cards that you cannot miss at any cost. So when it comes to cards that actually will be giving you that tower, and most of the times are of course the Goblin Barrel, the Skeleton, not the Skeleton, what is that? The Graveyard, the Balloon, the Golem, Giant, Hog Rider, Royal Giant, Lava Hound, Elite Barbarians, and Musketeer, the 3 Musketeer. Now these cards will definitely, in most cases, give you that first tower down very quickly if they just ignore it, if you don't have any card for it. Of course, if they do have a card as well, it's gonna actually be really hard for them to actually get it, because most of the times you're actually not going to give a card that's really going to counter the your card, and most of the cases you'll probably the opponent won't be having any card to counter it. So say if suppose you have a golem and the opponent does not has any defensive building, then the golem is definitely going to go for that tower, and it's pretty much going to be a high chance of you actually getting that tower itself. So these are the cards that you actually will be requiring for you to at least have the one win condition. Win condition are those cards that actually are going to do at least take that one tower down. So these are the cards that you actually will be needing to get that first tower at least. So when it comes to the cards that you actually have to take, there may be a situation where you have a card and a counter card. Now if you don't know what a counter card is, let me just give you an example. So say there's a Dart Goblin, and you have to choose between the Dart Goblin, that is the card itself, and the counter for the Dart Goblin will be of course a log or maybe an arrow. In this case, I would say you should go for the counter itself. So instead of taking in the Dart Goblin, take the arrow or maybe the log, whichever they offer you. So when it comes to the counter cards, against the normal card, the attacking card, you definitely need to have the counter card towards you, because that's going to really help you. Because if you just give away the counter card, then definitely the troop you're actually going to put is going to be a complete loss for you. It's not going to do anything, just going to sit there, and the opponent is going to put in the spell on that and just destroy it. So when it comes to a card and a counter, counter should be your option. Again, one cool thing about the draft challenges, sometimes you pretty much you and your opponent are going in together, both at the same pace, both are actually doing the same amount of damage, both are not able to touch the tower itself. In those kind of cases, the spells are really the one that actually are going to do the damage. So the rocket, the fireball, the the lightning spell, and the poison are the 4 spells that actually do a lot of damage to that tower itself. So these are the cards that are actually will be given, at least maybe if the supercell actually allows you, then you can probably get it, but then if they don't, you cannot help it. But then there may be a situation again where you cannot do anything to go against the opponent if he has a really good counter for that troop, and you definitely have a counter for his troop as well. Then that is when the spells are really going to come in handy. So make sure they're actually taking in the right spell, make sure they're actually taking in the right card. So if you know that your cards will actually reach to that tower and at least do a few bit of a damage, then of course take in the card that you actually know. So if it comes to fireball or maybe a rocket, then I would say take in the rocket, because there may be chances that the rocket will be doing more damage than that of the fireball, and in the situation like this, where then the opponent and you are stuck together, then the rocket is definitely going to get that lead. So again, the rocket will be the perfect option. So when it comes to choosing the decks, it's definitely a good thought that you actually have to keep in mind, that you have to have a win condition or maybe a tank in with you. So maybe a giant, or maybe the giant, which is a tank, or maybe a hog rider, which is a win condition. He's a really good win condition. Or maybe a barrel. So these are the cards that you actually have to have in your deck itself. So the first 4 cards you probably will be having, you need to have a the tank, and then you need to have a card that is actually going to help you cycle through. So say for example the fire spirits or maybe the ice spirits, these are the cards that's actually going to let you cycle through the deck. You actually drop them in and you get the next card, so you're actually cycling through and making sure that you're actually getting into the truth that you actually want. So you definitely need to have a tank, a cycling card, a spell that is going to be anything like the rocket or maybe the fireball, and lastly you need to have a defensive card like maybe a furnace, an inferno tower, a mortar or something like that, that's going to actually deviate the troop, troop that actually is going to go for that tower. Instead is going to come towards this defensive building. So make sure they're actually aiming for these 4. Again, the tank or a win condition, the spell, a cycle, or a the defensive card. So these are the cards that you actually will be concentrating. So if you already have a win condition, don't probably go in for another win condition unless they're not offering you any other thing, of course. So another thing that you actually need to keep in mind is you cannot push in, you cannot go aggressive on this mode. You definitely have to see the opponent's potential. You don't know what that opponent is having, so you definitely have to defend yourself in the first few minutes. And if you can actually get to know all the cards, and if you know how to counter them, if you actually have a troop to counter the opponent's card, then that is when you actually are going to go in aggressive and do your move. So don't be the first person to actually go in for the first move. Make sure they're actually waiting, make sure they're actually analyzing his deck, and then go in for the attack. That's really going to help you a lot, unless you know what is not going to happen. So make sure they're actually defending first, and then you actually have to go in. So again, a lot of people actually do it. So say you love the princess, and you're actually having a arrow. So this is when you actually have to select the arrow, because I said you up in another tip that the counter should be an option when it actually comes to the card itself. So since you love the princess, you'll actually take in the princess. So you need to think through the situation. You need to understand that your favorite card will not work against here. It's not your favorite deck that are actually working. Maybe you're gonna get a deck that's completely not gonna support your princess kind of style. So you definitely need to understand that the deck is completely unpredictable. So you definitely need to avoid your favorite card over here. I don't mean you have to avoid unless it is the best amongst the other card, but then if you know that the other card is better than your favorite card, then don't just go in and take your favorite card. So what I mean to say is that as soon as you see your favorite card, don't just go ahead and click on that, rather just think about the situation and then take that card. Okay, so one last tip would be, of course, that if you are matching up with a bad deck, then I would say go in for maybe on the other towers. So say for suppose the opponent is coming from the left side and you cannot by any means do any damage to that tower, I would say go aggressive on the right tower. Maybe there are some chances that the opponent is just gonna go in for the left side, ignoring the right side, or maybe something happens and you're getting the right tower, and that is when you actually are gonna get that victory. So make sure that you actually are giving the opponent a bit of a surprise. If you cannot do anything, then probably you should go in and go from the other side, or maybe you drop in a graveyard up in there and just give your opponent a bit of a shock, give him a bit of surprise, and that might actually give you an opportunity to get the lead. So that is again one cool thing. And one last thing I would like to say is that there are some times where you actually are going to get the weirdest and the dumbest deck where you don't have any win condition, nothing at all that's going to help you. So you definitely have to understand that this is not your deck, so you definitely have to agree that you actually lost it. Don't just go crazy on that and just bang your phone on the table. It's not gonna help it. Just leave that alone and maybe take some break. It's definitely gonna help you. So that's pretty much it, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed. Make sure you do leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Ayrus, and I'll be seeing you next time. Until then, goodbye.